Okay, welcome everyone to the Shir. Thank you for participating live, those that are participating now, and those that will listen later. We are on the Gemara Daf Chof Aleph, Amud Aleph, on the top of the Amud. We're holding where it says Tana Rabbanan. Zok the Gemara, Tana Rabbanan, Kol Elu Sha'amru Ein Madlikim Ben B'Shabbos. All of the materials that we said in the Mishnah that you can't light with them on Shabbos. Aval, oisen mehen midura, you can light from them a larger fire, bein lischamem kenegda, whether you're using it to warm yourself opposite this flame of fire, let's say like a fireplace or something like that, bein lishtamish loira, whether you're using it for the light. Bein al gabi karka, whether you're placing the fire on the ground, bein al gabi kira, whether you're placing it in an oven. All these materials, the Issa was only if you're using it to make a single flame. And the point is, when you make a single flame and these materials don't burn well, so it could flicker, it's not going to burn well, and you might come to fix it on Shabbos. But when you have a larger flame that has more material that's burning, so they burn from each other and they are going to stay lit, and the person is not going to come to fix it. The Gemara goes to the next part of the Mishnah. It said in the Mishnah, "V'loi b'shemen kik v'chulu," that you can't use shemen kik. What is shemen kik? My shemen kik. Amar Shmuel, hat Shmuel gesagt, Shaltinu l'chol nechusei yama. I asked all those people that travel overseas if any of them know what this shemen kik is. V'amru li, and they said to me, Oif echad yesh b'krachei yam. There is a bird that exists overseas in cities, the kik shmai, and the name of this bird is kik, and they extract something from this bird and they produce oil out of it. So that's the shemen kik. Rav Yitzchak v'reid Rav Yehuda said, no, it's something else. It's mishcha de kaza. It's cottonseed oil. Cottonseed oil does not burn well, it doesn't flow well, it can't be used for Ner Shabbos. Resh Lakish says a third pshat, kikayin de yaina. This is oil that comes from the kikayin tree that's mentioned in the story of Yaina. That Yaina had his shade under the kikayin tree. Amar Rabba Babachana. So Rabba Babachana said regarding this kikayin de yaina, Lididi chazi li kikayin de yaina. I saw this kikayin de yaina. Vilitz luliva dami. It's compared to this lutzluliva bush, which is some kind of a tree that has large leaves. Like we know, the kikayin de yaina had very large leaves, and it provided the shade for yaina, and it also has a very, very good oil. Umidapashki Rabbi, it grows in ponds where there's moisture, that's where it grows. Valpum Chanusa Midlin Yasei. People place the leaves by the entrance of the stores because it provides shade and it gives a good fragrance. And also Mi Partzidai of the Mashcha. From the kernels that are in this tree, you can make oil. And that's what we're talking about over here. Under the branches of these trees, the brichi, which means the sick people in Marava and Eretz Yisrael, would sit under these branches for the shade that they provide, because it has a good shade that's provided for them. So these are the three opinions b'negeya to what shemen kik is. Now the Gemara says a general din b'negeya to what we learned in the Mishnah, the reasoning behind what we learned. Amar Rabbe, hat Rabbe gesagt, the wicks that are mentioned in the Mishnah, that ein madlikim ben b'Shabbos, that you can't use them to light on Shabbos, the reason is because these are kind of wicks that the flame of fire flickers, it doesn't burn well. Shmanim shomru chachamim, the oils that chachamim said that ein madlikim behem, the reason is mipnei she'einim shachen achar apsila. They don't get drawn into the wick easily enough, and again, in both cases, it's not going to burn well, and the gzeira is shema yata, a person might come to fix it that it should burn on Shabbos. So Abai asked the question from Rabbe, Shmanim shomru chachamim ein madlikim ben b'Shabbos. These oils that chachamim said that they may not be used to light on Shabbos. Mao sheyitun l'toichan shemen kolshuhu. What if you add to those oils a little bit of the oils that are acceptable to be used? V'yadlik, and that's how you light it. So when you add a little bit of the oil that's acceptable, what happens is that gets drawn to the wick, and then b'derech memela, the other oil also will get drawn into the wick, and it'll burn well. So maybe if you add shemen kolduhu, that's acceptable, so then it shouldn't be a problem. But what's the question of the Gemara? Mi gazrinan, is there a gzeire dilma asid ladluke beinayu, that you may come to light with these unacceptable oils separately, without adding the acceptable oil to make it flow into the wick? Oiloi, or there's no such gzeira. If you light with those oils separately, then it's a problem. But as long as you add a kol shehu of the acceptable oil, that it should flow into the wick, then it's okay. Amalei, so he answered, Ei madliken. We can't light with any of these oils that are unacceptable, even if you add from the acceptable oil. Doesn't make a difference. My time, what's the reason? Lefi she'ei madliken, because you don't light with them. So as Rashi over here explains, the meaning of this is that there's the gzeira. There's the gzeira that you might come to light with them separately. The Aruch says, this is a very interesting way the Gemara puts this. My time, lefi she'ei madliken. So the Aruch says here, it's on the side of the Gemara, kaloima kabali hikach she'ei madliken. This is a Kabbalah. We have a Messiah that there's a Gzeira, and you could never light with any of those unacceptable oils, even if you add a Mashu or even more than a Mashu, whatever you add from the acceptable oil. Hey Svei, the question was asked on this psak. Korach Dovar. So it says in the beis, what happens if a person is using materials shemadlikim by? The materials that you could light with it, but he wraps it al gabe dovashe madlikim by, on another material that you can't light with it. So he's combining both together. Hey madlikim by. So the Tanakama says it can't be used. The Geras on the side of the Gemara here is Rab Shimon ben Gamliel Aimer. Rab Shimon ben Gamliel says, Shal beis Abba, in my father's house, hoyukarchim psila al gabe egos. They would wrap a acceptable wick on top of a nut. So you can't light with a nut, that's not a material acceptable to light, but they would wrap on top of it an acceptable wick. So we see umadlikin, and they would light with it. Katani miyas, so I see over here in what Rab Shimon Gamliel said, madlikin, that you could light even if you're combining the wick and you're wrapping it on a nut. So the Gemara Malay, so he responded back, you're asking me a question from what Rab Shimon Gamliel said. Why not bring me a raya to what I said, that if you combine both the acceptable and unacceptable wicks together, that you can't use it from the Tanakama? So the Gemara says, Hole Kashya. This is not a question why he chose to ask a question dafka from Rab Shimon Gamliel. Ma'aseh Rav, when you see that Rab Shimon Gamliel is saying that this was the actual practice in the house of his father, Rabbi Gamliel, this is a stronger raya that this is allowed. So Mikol Mokum Kashya. So we have a question on the psak that we said before that this is not allowed. My love, don't you think lahadlik that the pshat and what Rab Shimon Gamliel says, what they used to do in his father's house is they would wrap a wick on the nut in order to light, to use it as a wick to be able to light with it. Both the acceptable wick and also the knot would be used to light with it. So the Gemara loy, the answer is no, they wouldn't wrap the acceptable wick on top of the knot in order to light with it. Lahakfais, it was only placed over there to help it float, that the knot would float in the oil, and on that they would put the wick on it. Fragt the Gemara, if all they used to do by Rabbi Gamliel was wrap the wick on top of the knot that it should float, so my time at the Tanakama. Why would the Tanakama say that that's not allowed? What's the problem? It's using the wick perfectly. It's just made to float. So the Gemara, Kula Rab Shimon Gamliel. Really, this entire beis is all Rab Shimon Gamliel here. V'chasuri mechsere, and there's missing in the words of the beis. This is how you have to learn the beis. If you wrap material that could be used on material that cannot be used, and you can't combine them both together and light with it. When is that the case? Lahadlik. If you're combining it together and you want to light from both of them together. If it's only being done because you want to help it float up, that it should be able to burn, and you're really just lighting the one that's acceptable, then mutter. Then it's not a problem. Rabbi Gamliel Oimer, and the proof of this is the continuation that Rabbi Gamliel said, Shal beis Abba, in my father's house, they would wrap a psila, the wick, on top of an egos that it should float. So if it's only being used to float, then it's not a problem. So we go back to the psak that we had before, that if you're combining acceptable material with unacceptable material, then it is a problem. Eini, is this the case? But Rav Bruna said, Amar Rav, in the name of Rav, chaylev muhusach, when you have fats that melted, the krove dogim, and from inside the fish you have an oily substance, sheni moichu, that was dissolved, and both of them are not acceptable to be used for Neidas Shabbos. But he said, Adam neisen l'toichai shemen kolshu, as long as you add a little bit of acceptable oil, umadlik, and you could light it for Shabbos. So you see that you could combine and light it on Shabbos. And for the Gemara, no, this case is different. Hani, these two examples, the chaylev muhusach and krove dogim, mimshechu be'einayu, they even themselves do draw very well into the wick to be burned, to burn. The hani, but the others that we said before that you can't combine together, loy mimshechu be'einayu. We're talking about those kinds of oils that will not flow well, they will not be drawn into the wick well. And then, even if you combine, it's going to be a problem. If the chaylev mohusach and kravi dogim flow well and get drawn into the wick well, so why can't you use it on Shabbos? Gozru rabbanon. By them, the whole thing was just a gzeira. The gzeira is al chaylev mohusach, on melted fats, mishum chaylev sheini mohusach, that you shouldn't come to use fats that are not melted. Al krave dogim, and the oily substance from inside the fish, sheni moichu, that was dissolved, mishum krave dogim shaleini moichu, you shouldn't come to use the inside of the fish when it's not dissolved. So that's the only reason you can't use it. It's just a gzeira, but really they themselves do flow very well into the wick, and therefore if you add a little bit of the accepted oil, it could be used. Zag the Gemara, we frag the Gemara, that is, v'lig zanami, if so, maybe we should make a further gzeira. Chaylev muhusach, or krave dogim, melted fats, and dissolved oil from the fish, sheni moichu, shenasan l'teichan shem, and even after you did add a little bit of the accepted oil, still there should be a gzeira, mishum chaylev muhusach, v'krave dogim sheni moichu, that you shouldn't come to use them separately, without adding those oils. Why not make such a gzeira? Shalenasan l'teichan shemen. And for the Gemara, no, we're not going to go so far with the gzeira. Gufik gzeira, the only reason you can't use the melted fats or the dissolved oils of the fish is a gzeira, because when it's not melted and it's not dissolved, and we're going to come and make a second gzeira to support the first gzeira. This is the famous klal of gzeira. We don't make a gzeira. We had a sugya before about it on Daf Yud and Daf Yud Aleph, where the Gemara discussed it, but derech klal, we don't make a gzeira. Sagt die Gemara weiter, Tani Rami Bachame, Psilis, Shmane Shomre Chachamim, Madlikim Ben B'Shabbos. The wicks and the oils that Chachamim said that you can't light on Shabbos, Madlikim Ben B'Miktosh. They also can't be used to light the menorah in the beis hamidkosh. Mishum shenemar lahalais ner tomid. Because it says in the Torah, lahalais ner tomid. Who Tani La? So he learned this braise and v'hu amala, and he also explained the pshat in this braise. What's the limud from lahales ne'tamid? Kedei shetehei shal heves oile me'eleho, that the flame of fire should be steady and burn on its own. V'loi shetehei oile al yedei dover acher, and not that it should need the support of something else, that the person should have to fix it and tilt it, that it should burn properly, and therefore you can't use any of these oils or wicks that the Mishnah mentioned here do not burn well by themselves. Fragt the Gemara from a Mishnah. Tanan, we learned in a Mishnah, mi baloi michnese kayanim, from the worn out clothing, from the pants, that from the kayanim, umehem neim, and also from the gartels, from the avnei, toyu mafkiin, they would tear out pieces, umehen madlikin, and they would light from them. Simchas, by the Simchas beis hashievah, this is over there, the Gemara in Sukkah that describes what they lit outside in the chatzeres, in the Azara, in the beis hamikdash, and they would light these huge, tall menorahs. And the Gemara there describes that it would light up the entire Yerushalayim. What would they use as a wick for these massive flames of fire that they made in these very tall menorahs? They would use the worn-out clothing of the Kainim. Now, the clothing of the Kainim were made out of materials that can't be used for a wick for the menorah. It was made out of wool materials that we said already before, that wool materials can't be used. And for the Gemara, Simchas beis hashievah shani. The menorah that's being lit outside for the Simchas beis hashievah, that's different. That's not the menorah in the beis hamikdash. That's not what the pasuk lahalas ner tamid doesn't go on that, and therefore that's a different story. Over there it could be lit outside even with such kind of materials. Toshema, let's see a Bradai from another place. The Toni Rabbe Bamasne, Big Day Kohuna Shabalu. The begodim of the kainim that were worn out, mafkiyanaisan, they tear them, umehenayaisan psiles lemikdash, and they would make from them the wicks for the menorah in the beis hamikdash, not just for the menorahs that were used outside for simchas beis hashievah. My love, don't you think, which begodim did they use from to make the wicks for the menorah? The klayim, the begodim that were klayim, the begodim of the beis hamikdash, which are lamashal. Rashi here says, for example, the avnate. It was made mostly out of wool material, but it was also made together with linen, it comes from flax, which was klayim. So the avnate was klayim. So Taisus over here explains that the wool material cannot be used for a wick for the menorah. The linen material could be used, but it was mostly wool. It was very little linen. So since it was mostly wool, it can't be used for the menorah. So how could they use it over here for the menorah, these worn out clothing? And for the Gemara, we're going to have to say that when it says that they took from the worn out clothing of the Kainim, they did not take from the clothing that were made out of wool, they took from the clothing that were made from linen. There were the big day lavan that were made for linen, there were clothing that were made out of linen, and only those worn out clothing that they use for the menorah. So now we begin the sugi of Chanukah. Rav Huna said, Psilis Hashmanim Shom Chachamim Mei Madlikim Ben B'Shabbos. Those wicks and oils that Chachamim said that you can't light in Shabbos, Ein Madlikin Behen B'Chanukah. You can't light the menorah for Chanukah, Bein B'Shabbos, whether you're lighting it out of Shabbos, Bein B'Choil, whether you're lighting it the rest of the week. Omar Rove, so Rove explained what Rav Huna said. My time of the Rav Huna. Because Rav Huna holds kofsa zakukla. If the menorah goes out, you have to relight it. So therefore you don't want to light the menorah during the week with a nair that will extinguish, and then you have to relight it again. And the Rashi says you might forget and not relight it. And on Shabbos you're allowed to use it. And because the person is allowed to be mishtamish with the light of the Ner Chanukah, he might come to tilt it to fix it that he should be able to see the light properly. So Taisus here explains, Be'emes, the Gemara could have said the reason of Kofsa Zakukla, both for why you're not allowed to light it b'chayil or on Erev Shabbos as well. Either way, if it goes out on Shabbos, then on Shabbos you for sure can't relight it. So it's the same reason why you shouldn't be able to use it. Elamai, Taisa says, because Rav Huna specified separately, Bein b'Shabbos, Bein b'chayil, it's mashma that there's one reason why you're not allowed to light Erev Shabbos, and another reason why you're not allowed to light b'chayil. That's why he gave two different reasons. Rav Chisda argues and says, Madlikim ben b'chayil. During the week on Chanukah, you're allowed to use any of these materials that the Mishnah says is not allowed for Shabbos. Avaloi b'Shabbos. When you're lighting the menorah out of Shabbos, then you're not allowed. So what's the reason of Rav Chisda? Going to Amud Beis. Kosovar kofsa ein zakukla. Because he holds that once the menorah goes out, so you don't have to relight it again. This is the way we paskin actually. Kofsa ein zakukla. Umuter lehishtamish loila. But on the other hand, he holds you're allowed to use the light of the Ner Chanukah to have a noah from it. So on Shabbos he might use it and have a noah from it, and will want to tilt it and fix it on Shabbos. Amar Rav Zeira, Amar Rav Masna, Amar Rav Zeira, Amar Rav Psilas Hashmana Shom Chachamim Mei Madlikim Ben B'Shabbos. The wicks and the oils that Chachamim said you're not allowed to light for the Shabbos candles, Madlikim Ben B'Chanukah, you could use it on Chanukah, Bein B'Choil and Bein B'Shabbos, both during the week and when you're lighting it out of Shabbos. Amar Rav Yirmiyah. So Rav Yirmiyah explained, my time with the Rav. Kasava, Rav holds kofsa in zakukla. If the menorah goes out, you don't have to relight it. And also on Shabbos, v'asur le'ishtamish la'ira. You're not allowed to use the light of the menorah for your own personal use, so you won't come to fix it on Shabbos. Amru Rabbanan Kamei Abaye Mishmei Rabbi Yirmiyah. This halacha was said in front of Abaye in the name of Rabbi Yirmiyah v'loi kibla, and he didn't accept this halacha. Kiyasa Ravin. And then when Ravin came, Amru Rabbanan Kamei Abaye Mishmei Rabbi Yochanan. He repeated again the same halacha in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. V'kibla. And then he accepted it. So when it was said to him earlier on, In the name of Rabbi Yirmiyah, he didn't. In a later stage, he heard it in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, then he accepted it. Omar, so Abaye said, Izakoi, if I would have had the schos, gamirte l'shmaite meikara. I would have learned and accepted this halacha earlier on. Fragt the Gemara, what's the big schos here? V'ha gomra, but Papoil now he accepted it. And for the Gemara, nafgemine legirse de yankise. The difference is, when you learn something younger, you remember it longer. So if you would have accepted it earlier on, you would have remembered it longer. So therefore he said, if I was zeiche, I would have learned it earlier when I heard it the first time. Frag the Gemara, v'kofsa ein zakokla. Is this the halacha that once the menorah goes out, you don't have to relight it? V'raminu, well, I'll ask you a question from Abraisa. Mitzvasa mishetishka chama shetichle regel min hashuk. The mitzvah of Ner Chanukah is from shkiyas hachama until tichle regel min hashuk, when there's no more people in the shuk. There's a big famous machlokes rishonim b'negei to shetishka hachama, whether it means shkiyas hachama, what we call today shkiyah, or it's from Tzeisa Kechavim. Okay, so there's the Bederach Klal, the Litvische Welt, in Lubavitch also, Shetishka Chama, our minig is that we light from Shkiyas Achama, from Shkiya. And the Chassidische Welt lights from after Tzeisa Kechavim. That's the machlokes about Shetishka Chama. But right now, the Gemara is teaching that Shetishka Chama, Shetichle Regel Min Hashuk, my love, don't you think the pshat in this is, the Kofsa, that if the menorah goes out, Hodamadlikla, it has to burn the minimum of that amount of time from Shkiya until Tichle Regel Min Hashuk. And for the Gemara, no, that's not the pshat. The Eloi Adlik Madlik, the beis is simply telling you the Zman when you could light. The Zman to light is from Shkiyas Achama until Tichle Regel Min Hashuk. It's just telling you the Zman when you could light. And actually, according to Shittas HaRambam, Yitake could only light from Shkiyas Achama until Tichle Regel Min Hashuk, and you can't light any later than that. But Bizman Hazeh, the union of Tichle Regel Min Hashuk, so the halacha that's brought in the Paiskim is that you can light the menorah throughout the entire night. As long as there's someone else that's there in the house together with you, you can light with a bracha. If there's someone else not in the house of you, so then some machlokes are Paiskim and l'chayre, you have to be machber and not light with a bracha. But you could light without a bracha.
To wake them up?
Or you can wake someone up, yeah. V'i nami, or another pshat in the beis, l'shiyura. The beis is telling you the shear of amount of oil that you have to place into the menorah. You have to place the minimum amount that it could burn for the amount from Shkiyas Achama until Tichle Regel Min Hashuk. But it doesn't actually have to burn that amount. If it goes out, you don't have to relight the menorah, which is the actual halacha. It could be the minig is that people do relight the menorah. That's the minig. But al pi halacha, once the menorah goes out, you do not have to relight the menorah. Sagt the Gemara weiter, Tichle Regel Min Hashuk, until there's no more people in the marketplace. V'at kamo, until when is this? Who are the last people that are outside in the marketplace? Amar Abba Bar Chana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, ad kalye rigle de Tarmudoi, until those people of the Tarmudoi. And Rashi says the Tarmudoi is a shem umam velakte eitzim dakim. They were from a nation that would gather wood for the fireplace, and even after everybody was home, they would deliver the wood for the fireplace. So they were the last that were out in the market, and when they are gone, that's when it's empty and it's dark and there's nobody there anymore, and that's after that you can't light the menorah anymore. So there's the pshat that the Rebbe says in this, the Chassidish pshat of Kal Yirigle de Tarmudoi, or Acha Tichle Regel Min Hashuk, that the word Tichle doesn't just mean when they're gone, when they're not there, but Tichle is also Meloshen Kiloyon, when they get expired, when they get elevated, that is. When you light the menorah to the point that it has to reach out into the people that are in the shuk, and you elevate even them also into the Ner of Neres Chanukah. And then the Kal Yirigle, the Tarmudoi, according to the based on the Gemara in Yevamis, the Tarmudoi, there was also from the Avodim of Shlomo HaMelech, and they were mated against Shlomo HaMelech. And when they were mated, they went and they became part of these Tarmudoi. And so the word Tarmudoi is the name of a nation, but it could also be read as a Meiredes. They're a nation of people that they rebelled against Shlomo HaMelech. So the light of Ner Chanukah has to reach Kalya, even Rigle the Tarmudoi, even these Tarmudoi that are Meirdim and Malchus Shamayim, it should elevate even them. That's the effect of Ner Chanukah. Sagt the Gemara weiter, Toner Rabbana, we learned in a beis mitzvahs Chanukah Neir Ishu Beisai. The mitzvah of Chanukah, to be Mekayim, the basic mitzvah is to light one candle for the whole house. V'amahadrin, If you want to be Mekayim the mitzvah in a way of mahadrin, ner l'chol echad ve'echad. So you light one candle for each member of the house. V'mahadrin mina mahadrin, ve'shama yoimrim yoim rishayin madlik shmeina. On the first night you light 8. Mikam ve'elech peiches v'heilich. And from there you go less every day. Or beis yoimrim, beis say the opposite, yoim rishayin madlik achas. The first night you light 1. Mikam ve'elech meisa v'heilich. And from there you light 1 more every single night. So, when we get to this beis, let me just point out a few things. First of all, the lashon of mahadrin, even though the simple pshat of mahadrin usually is the ones that want to beautify a mitzvah. And mahadrin, mina mahadrin means you want to beautify the mitzvah even more. But if you look into Rashi actually has a different pshat in mahadrin. Rashi says, Vaha mahadrin achara mitzvahs. Those that are looking to go after more mitzvahs. Right? And the lashon, not in the lashon hidur, which is lashon kaidish, but in the lashon arami, mahadrin. They want to go after mitzvahs. If you're looking to go after more mitzvahs, then you light more. You light according to the members of the house, or you light according to the day that it is. That's one ha'or over here. It's an unusual pshat of mahadrin, but that's how Rashi says it. Another famous machlokes here in this Gemara is the machlokes of Tosfos and the Rambam. Tosfos says, when it says in the beis mahadrin mina mahadrin, it's not going back on the mahadrin. It's going back on the first case of neir ishu beisai. One person is lighting the menorah, and then if you want to do mahadrin mina mahadrin, so that one person will add every night according to the amount of that night. To show which night of Chanukah is, it's an added pesur minissa. But if you're going to add mahadrin mina mahadrin to all the members of the house to mahadrin, so then lav dafke it's going to be mefarsen which night it is. People won't see which night it is. If there's 7 people in the house and it's the 5th night of Chanukah and you're going to have many candles and you can't see which night of Chanukah it is, it doesn't create a bigger pesur minissa. So therefore Tosfos learns mahadrin mina mahadrin goes on neir ishu beisai. Mashenkin the Rambam brings the shitta that there's neir ishu beisai, then mahadrin adds to that, and mahadrin mina mahadrin adds to mahadrin, that every member of the household should light according to the night that it is that night. That's one machlekes. Halacha beis hillel. That's yeah. Okay. Now, another thing that's unique about this Gemara, even though the Gemara here brings 3 different options of how to light the menorah, neir ishu beisai, mahadrin, and mahadrin mina mahadrin, but in Shulchan Aruch it's not brought this way. In Shulchan Aruch it's brought as the minik poshet. Without mahadrin mina mahadrin, the minik poshet is brought to Shulchan Aruch that everybody lights like the mahadrin mina mahadrin, one light in the first night and the second night 2 and as a weiter. So which is unusual. Why doesn't it bring in Shulchan Aruch the ikra din and then the mahadrin and the mahadrin mina mahadrin? Over here it says ungenommen by ganz Klal Yisrael to light like the mahadrin mina mahadrin as a minik poshet. And this is connected to the Nes Chanukah. The Rebbe explains that just like when they get to Nes Chanukah, there's the famous question of the Pnei Yeshua, why did Eibush have to make Bechlal the Nes Chanukah? There's a din of Tumah Hutra B'tzibur, so they were able to light with the Shemen that wasn't Tar Bechlal. Elamai, the only reason the Eibush made the Nes is to show, the Pnei Yeshua says, to show the Chvivus to Klal Yisrael. That Eibush wants them to be able to light with Shemen Tar. So Al Derech Zeh, the Chvivus of Klal Yisrael in commemorating Nes Chanukah is that all of Klal Yisrael accepted as a minik poshet to be mekayim the mahadrin mina mahadrin, so much so that that's brought bepashtus Shulchan Aruch. It's not even brought anything less than mahadrin mina mahadrin. This is to express the chvivus of to celebrate the Nes of Chanukah. Let's go a little weiter in the Gemara. Omar Ule. So Ule said regarding this machlekes, Peligiba trei amiroi b'marava. There was a machlokes here amongst 2 Amiraim in Marava. Rabbi Yosi bar Avin and Rabbi Yosi bar Zvida. Chad Omar, one of them said, Time b'de beis Shammai keneged yomim anechnosim. The reason of beis Shammai is you follow according to the days that are entering. Right? So the first day you have another 8 days of Chanukah left, so you light 8. And then you have 7, so you light 7. You go according to the days that are left for Chanukah. Time of the beis hillel, keneged yomim hayotzin. How many days have already gone out? The first day is there's 1 day, and then there's 2 days, and that's how you light the menorah. That was one reason for their machlekes. Chad Omar, another opinion is time of the beis Shammai. The reason of beis Shammai is keneged parei hachag. It's connected to the parei hachag. The parei hachag are the bulls that were brought as karbanis on Sukkot. So they went less and less every single day. You started with 13 parim, and they would be less 13, 12, 11. It went less and less every single day. So too over here with Ner Chanukah we light less and less and less. The time of the beis hillel, and the reason of beis hillel is the Meilim Bakodesh ve'ein meriden. In Kedusha, you only go up, and ein meriden, you don't go down. So 2 points benegate to this Gemara. First of all, there's a nafkeminah, there's many nafkeminas, but I'll just mention one now, between these two reasons in explaining the machlokes of Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai. The lashon of the Gemara is pligi ba. There's an argument, what's the reason of their machlokes? So if it says pligi ba, that means that there's a nafkemina la halacha between these two reasons. And the nafkemina, for example, would be in the following case. What happens if on the second night of Chanukah, for whatever reason, someone only lit one ner Chanukah instead of two? He only had one, he only lit one. What happens on the third night? How much does he have to light on the third night? If the reason is keneged yamen hayotzim, let's talk about Beis Hillel's shitta that we paskin like. If the reason is keneged yamen hayotzim, so then on the third night of Chanukah, you have to light 3, because now it's the third night of Chanukah. Yesterday you only lit 1. If now you have 3, you have to light 3. But if the reason is Meilim Bakodesh ve'ein meriden, so then if the second night you only lit 1, so your Meilim Bakodesh in the second night only requires 2, not more. So that would be one nafkemina. There are more nafkeminas, but that's one nafkemina which the Sfas Emes mentions, and the Rebbe brings it in the Sikha. Another thing I want to point out over here is, which is brought in a Maimer of the Tzemach Tzedek, that the opinion that the Gemara brings from Beis Shammai is a shtukal pella. We're connecting Ner Chanukah to the Parei HaChag. What's the connection of the Ner Chanukah to the Parei HaChag? That the Parei HaChag are mismatim v'holchen. So too over here, what's the shaychus? So he explains the shaychus is because it says in the Gemara that the karbanis that were brought in the beis hamidkosh for the goyim had an effect on the goyim. It was because the goyim are mismatim v'holchim through the Parei HaChag that were brought in the beis hamikdash. So the karbanis brought in the beis hamikdash is also bringing a hashpah on the umas ha'olam in the world, which is similar to the theme of Ner Chanukah. What's unique about the Ner Chanukah is that it has to be lit after Shkiyas Sachama, has to be lit after Pesach Beis Mibachutz, as we're going to see in a moment. So the idea of Ner Chanukah is also to bring the hashpah outside into the Welt, similar to the way this is the only time you have karbanis in the beis hamikdash that are corresponding to the 70 nations of the world. Together they were 70 parim. On Sukkot, right, that's the only time. So therefore that's the connection of Ner Chanukah and the Parei HaChag. Sagt die Gemara weiter, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Shnei Zekenim Hayu b'Tzidon. There were 2 older Talmidei Chachamim in Sidon. Echad asa keBeis Shammai, ve'echad asa kedivri Beis Hillel. One of them would light Ner Chanukah like Beis Shammai, the other would light like Beis Hillel. Zen noisen tam ledvarav keneged Parei HaChag. The one that followed Beis Shammai said the reason is that it's similar to Parei HaChag. Ve'zen noisen tam ledvarav the Meilim Bakodesh ve'ein meriden. And the other said, no, we have to follow Beis Hillel that says Meilim Bakodesh ve'ein meriden. Sagt die Gemara weiter, Tan Rabbanan, Ner Chanukah mitzvah lahanicha Pesach Beis Mibachutz. The mitzvah of Ner Chanukah is to place it at the door of your home on the outside. And over here also there's a machlekes of Rashi and Tosfos. Rashi holds that you place it on the door of your house. Mashenkin Tosfos adds, what if you have a chotzer in front of your house and you have a doorway that goes out from the chotzer into the street? You have to light it at the doorway of the chotzer going out into the street, all the way on the outside. Sagt die Gemara weiter, ve'im haya dar ba'aliyah. What if he's living on the second floor and he can't place it by the doorway going outside? Manicha b'chalain hasmucha l'reshus harabim. So you place the menorah in the window that's facing the reshus harabim. Ubishas asakana. If it's a time of a danger, when there was a sakana, when they made a gzeira that the Yidden should not light candles in this time, manicha shulchane v'daya. You place the menorah inside the house on your table, and that's enough. Besides the Ner Chanukah, you have to light a shamish, another candle that you can use for light. There has to be another candle lit, because as we learned before, if you have anyways a fire, a large fire that's lit in the house as a source of light, so then light tzarech, then you don't need. But if this is an adam chashuv that doesn't use the light of a medura, he only uses, he's more of a mafunik, or he's more adam chashuv, and he only uses the light of a smaller candle, even if there is a medura in the house, tzarech ner acheres, you have to have another ner to use for light besides the Ner Chanukah. My Chanukah. So what is Chanukah? Fragt the Gemara, what happened? Was ist das Chanukah? The Tana Rabbana we learned in Abraise, B'chofei B'Kislev, Yoimid Chanukah, Teman Yoinun. On Chofei Kislev begins Chanukah for 8 days. The Leila Misbad Bahain, no Hesped in Chanukah, or the Leila Hanes Bahain, and you may not fast in Chanukah. And what happened in Chanukah? Shekishanichnasu Yevanim LaHeichel. The Yevanim came into the Heichel, Timu Kol Hashmanim Shebeheichel, they were metame all of the oils in the Heichel, Ukishagavra Malchus Beis Chashmenoi, V'notzchum, Botku, V'lei Matzu Elapach Echad Shel Shemen Shayemunich B'Chaisam Shel Kohen Gadol. All they found was one pach of shemen that had the chaisim of the Kohen Gadol on it, V'lei Hayabay El Lahadlik Yoim Echad, and all there was is to light for one day. Nasa by Nes, V'edlika Mimeno Shmeine Yomim. And a Nes happened, they were able to light for the Menorah for 8 days. This was the Nes of Chanukah. L'shana Acheres, the following year, Kavum V'osam Yom Tovim B'Halal V'Eidah. They established it as a Yom Tov of Halal and Eidah. On this Gemara, there are so many drushim. This is the Hazeful Teiris Tzereden and Zagen. We can speak about this for years and years. There's the famous question of the beis Yosef. If they had enough shemen to light for 1 day, so then why are we celebrating 8 days Chanukah? The Nes was only for 7 days. That's the famous Shiloh of the beis Yosef, and there's the 3 terutzim the beis Yosef says, and there's hundreds and hundreds of terutzim on this. Just mention Bekitzer, a point that the Rebbe says in the Sikha, that if you look into the beis Yosef, you'll see that the Nes of Ner Chanukah, the actual Nes itself, how it happened, that they had added oil that they were able to use for 8 days, there are 3 Eifanim to explain how this Nes happened. Either what happened is the quantity of the oil was added. They emptied out the jug of the oil, and then they found the jug to be filled the next day. The quantity of the oil was added. Or they filled the menorah completely full till the top, and the quality of the oil was intensified. Then instead of being able to burn for 1 day, it burned for 8 days. So either the kamas of the oil was added, or the eichus of the oil was added. Those are the 2 efanim, the 2 tirutzim that you see in the beis Yosef. And then there's a third teretz. It's not the kamos and not the eichus, but the Nes that happened was similar to the way it was by the sneh. What does the Torah say by the sneh? When Moshe Rabbeinu came to the sneh, hasneh boyer be'esh ve'enoi ukol. The sneh is a bush that's burning, it's on fire, and while it's burning, at the same time, it's not burning. 2 opposites are happening at the same time. Boyer ve'enoi ukol. The same thing happened over here. It's not that the quality of the oil became better or the quantity of the oil was added. It was burning and not burning at the very same moment. That was the Nes, which is a completely different type of a miracle, a much higher level of a Nes. That's another Eifen how to understand a miracle. So it's 3 different Eifanim how to understand what the Nes of Ner Chanukah was. Same that the Rebbe explains in the Sikha. There's a lot of other things to be said on this Gemara. The Chaisamish Kohen Gadol is one of the things that the Mefarshim point out. This is not a usual thing. It's not the pshat in the Gemara over here that the Kohen Gadol would always have his seal on the jugs of oil. So one of the famous pshatim in this is that really this was the oil that the Kohen used for his menachos. The Kohen Gadol brought a carbon mincha every day, and he sealed it for his carbon mincha that's brought every day. Now the carbon mincha that the Kohen and the oil that's used for his carbon mincha, does not have to be the quality that's used for Ner Chanukah. But Afal Pikein, the Kohen was Mahader a Hidu Mitzvah, and he wanted to use for his Carbon Mincha the oil that could be used for the Menorah. That was a special Hidur that the Kohen had. So because he had this Hidur, when they found this oil that was sealed with the seal of the Kohen Gadol, they knew that this could be used for the Menorah of the beis hamidkosh. So this is the special Hidur of the Kohen Gadol. And this is taka the reason why we celebrate Ner Chanukah through Mahadrin and Mahadrin and Mahadrin. It's another word in this Gemara. There's a lot more to be said in this Gemara. Okay, let's go weiter. So Lashana Acheres Kavim V'Asam Yavim Tovim B'Halav V'Eidah. So on this Halav V'Eidah, let me just mention, in our Gemara it says Halav V'Eidah, but the Rambam says that it's Yemei Simcha V'Halal. And this is a famous machlokes. Most Rishonim, Rashi and Bepashtus, most Rishonim hold that Chanukah, it is only a mitzvah of halal v'eidah. You say halal, and haidah means alanisim, and you light ner Chanukah, and that's it. But the Rambam holds it is a mitzvah of simcha. There's a mitzvah to have a suda on Chanukah as well. Because the Rambam holds, so the Rebbe explains in the Sikha, based on the Lavush. The Lavush says that when it comes Purim, the main ness of Purim was that the gufim of Yidden were saved. And therefore we celebrate through the Gashmi, the Gemishta v'simcha. Mashenkin and Chanukah, the main gzeira was lashkichem teiresecha lavirim v'chuker etzinecha. So we celebrated through ruchniisige things like Hallel, Eidah, and lighting the menorah. But the Rambam holds that even by Chanukah there were two components to the nes. There was the nes ruchni of the lashkichem teiresecha and of the oil in the beis hamidkosh that the Gemara mentions. But besides that, there was the nes gashmi also, that the Yidden's life was also being threatened, and therefore you celebrate Chanukah both through Hallel and Simcha. That's the Rambam's shitta. Okay, sagt die Gemara weiter. Tanan Asam, we learned in a Mishnah in Baba Kama. Getz hayetze mitachas apatish. If you have a spark that comes out from a person that's working he's banging with a hammer, and a spark comes out, v'yotza v'hizik, and it was mazik somebody, chayiv. So you chayiv for that damage. Gomol shatom pishton, a camel that's filled with flax, v'hoive b'rishus harabim, and he's passing through in the rishus harabim. V'nichnes pishton iletoicha chanos, and his flax is going into is overloaded, and it enters into the store on the side of the road, vidolka b'nei shel chenveni, and it lights on fire with a candle from the storekeeper, v'hidlik es habira, and it lights the whole house on fire. Balagomel chayiv, the balagomel which loaded it so big and it went into the private rishus of somebody is going to be chayiv. How about if the chenveni put a candle on the outside, and because of that it lit on fire and it lit the house on fire, so then chenveni chayiv. Whatever damages happens, the balachenveni that placed the candle on the outside will be chayiv. Rabbi Yehuda says, b'ner Chanukah potter. If you place the ner Chanukah outside, then you potter, because you placed it there with rishus. It's the mitzvah, and you have a rishus to place it there. Omar Ravina said, Mishmei derove, that's the gears on the side of the Gemara. What you can see from here is, Ner Chanukah mitzvah lahanicha b'toich hasara. The mitzvah of Ner Chanukah is to place the menorah below 10 tefachim. And therefore, he had the rishus to place it there. If you can put the ner Chanukah higher than 10 tefachim, so then leimelei, the balagomel should tell the balachenveni that placed his ner Chanukah outside, why don't you put it higher, higher than the camel, and the person riding on the camel should be tall enough that it shouldn't catch on fire, and people should be able to travel through properly. So here we have a raya that ner Chanukah has to be l'mayat masara. So the Gemara says, no, lav dafka, it's not a raya. If you're going to be matriachim to place it so high, it's going to hold him back from doing the mitzvah. Even if you could place it higher, but we can't be mechayiv him to place it higher. We have to allow him to put it lower also, because otherwise he might hold himself back from doing the mitzvah. So this is, the halacha is that the mitzvah of ner Chanukah is to place it dafka lamata ma'asara, and the inyan that it says, why dafka lamata ma'asara? I mentioned this when we spoke about rishus harabim. Rishus harabim only extends up to asara tefachim and not higher, is because the Gemara in its Sukkah says that the Shechina yarda ad asara tefachim. The Shechina came down till asara tefachim and not lower than asara tefachim. But when they get to ner Chanukah, just like we see by ner Chanukah, the zman to light it is dafka mishatishka chama in the time of darkness, and the place to light it is dafka outside in the place of darkness outside. So too the position from the ground, this should be lamata asara tefachim, to draw the Shechina down even lamata asara tefachim into this world. Sagt die Gemara weiter. One more shtickle. Amar Rav Kahane, Dorash Rav Nosson bar Minyomi Mishmei der Rav Tanchum, Ner Shel Chanukah she'enicha l'mayla mechof hama, the Ner Chanukah that was placed higher than 20 ames, psula. That's going to be possible. Kesuke ukemavoy, like a suke and like a mavoy, because the person's eyes do not reach that far, and there's no persume nisa. So therefore the menorah has to be below 20 ames. And this is the end of the sugya for today. A good Shabbos, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and stay safe, stay healthy, and it should be a Yeshua and a Gola for the entire Klal Yisrael.